evening, everyone. I hope everyone had an amazing weekend. Today we have an amazing soul, a talented young man. He goes by the name NtateTS. He is a talented DJ, a radio personality, and he owns a company that empowers education. Watch the full episode to hear more about him. Enjoy. Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. It's been a while. Today's a Monday and we're starting on a fresh start, on a new foot. Today we have a guest. He's from Cape Town. So he flew exactly from Cape Town to come for this interview. How amazing is that? His name is NtateTS, but I'm going to give him this platform to introduce himself to you guys, rather being said. Hi NtateTS, how are you? Good day. Okay, so before we start with this thing, introducing yourself. The last time I checked, NtateTS, right? And then there's a name, Khosi, which is your other name. But now you're starting to call yourself NtateTS. Where does that come from?
Sure. So NtateTS, it's a personality that I have, right? A lot of people know me NtateTS or Khosi. Right, you knew me NtateTS, and then NtateTS evolved from a special place in my heart, which is music, right? So started my music journey back in grade 2, used to sing in school choirs and stuff, and then as you grow, you actually develop certain skills.
Exactly.
And then I developed the production side, where I started producing and DJing. So that's where NtateTS came about, and how Ntate specifically came about. People said I've got this oldish spirit. So whenever I speak, they're like, hey, you like Dave, you and no one did. Listen to you. So that's how people, they were making fun of it, but Ntate, wherever I went. And then my nickname is actually TS from NtateTS. So I just combined the two, and that has been my stage name, NtateTS.
Wow. Talking about your grade 2 years, let's now go back to, I want you to tell my viewers, this is a platform where you get to tell them about yourself. I know this is a question you get asked on first dates and blind dates, but yes, I want you to tell my viewers about yourself. Tell them where NtateTS grew up, which schools he went to, and how he was like a child.
Sure. So where did NtateTS grow up? I actually grew up in Katlehong. Do you know Katlehong?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so I grew up in Katlehong, specifically Kotsits. Yeah, so that's where I grew up, that's where I went for both my, as a primary. You know what, guys. So it's primary and secondary school. Primary, Kilebo School, Mbarangi, Realeboa.
Okay.
Primary school, that's where I spent my 5 years of schooling. In primary school, and then I went to high school, and I spent my 4 years there. Go school in Baraki, and then post that, I actually went to UCT.
Okay.
Yeah.
5 years in primary.
Yeah.
What happened to the other 2 years?
So I think the curriculum was following up. Yeah. So while it was trying to catch up, I actually had to move out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in high school, there's actually 5 years. Why did you leave?
Yeah, so I skipped 1 grade as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Again, the curriculum was catching up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I know I asked you this question, but I want you to tell us how you were as a child.
How I was as a child? I think I'm still the same person, right? I'm an introvert by nature, so I've always been a loner. You'll actually find me indoors almost every time. So that hasn't changed. So I think a lot of people just want to know, okay, cool. How do you then differentiate, or which personality you like more between NtateTS and NtateTS? So these are
two different personalities.
Yes. Yes and no. So both these guys, they're still introverts, right? But NtateTS is more out there. NtateTS take pictures with people. NtateTS does a lot of things with people. But NtateTS is like that closed shell.
In his own shell.
Yeah. So that's a difference between the two. But otherwise, I'm still the same person. Still shy. I don't maintain eye contact.
I realized.
And then Yeah, just a geek. So I just love reading. I'm always working. So just close yourself in your room and work. That's it. That's me. That's pretty much what I do.
Would you say your upbringing played a role in you becoming an introvert?
Yeah, in a way. Like I grew up in. I wasn't strict, but it was more of being respectful.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to be out there. Not that I had to be out there. And I wasn't forced to be indoors, man. We'd go with my brother, let's all go play soccer, go at night to play pool and all that. But it was just the thing, you know what? I just want to be by myself. I love being by myself a lot. So that's why, I guess.
Yeah, it played a role in you
yeah.
becoming. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and also I don't enjoy a lot of things people my age do. So
Things like?
partying. Ironically, I'm a DJ. Whenever I DJ, I actually go for that hour and then I'm gone.
And then you leave.
Yeah. So I don't enjoy. Like I don't drink alcohol, right? Which people find it hard to believe. Like,
Exactly,
DJ,
because you're a
you don't
DJ.
drink. Look at the camera lady. She's like,
Yeah.
what? Yeah. So I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke. Do I want to try them? Nope. Have I tried alcohol? Yes, and it was the worst experience of my life.
How was the experience?
Actually, my sisters still make fun of it now.
Yeah.
And us to do. So we went out. It was a family thing.
Yeah.
And then they later forced me to drink. And then we drank and drank and drank. And then I puked that night, and then I was just sick for 2 weeks, like 2 weeks straight. I couldn't eat, I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked like a skeleton. Now at least I've got some meat, but back then it was worse. So yeah, me and alcohol are not friends.
Yeah.
Do I want to try it again? Nope. Do I find it fun? Nope. And I don't judge people who do it. I mean, everyone does whatever they want, but it's just not for me.
It's not for you.
Yeah.
Tell me about your early teen years, like when you entered into high school. You tapped into that a little bit when you were describing where you grew up and how you grew up. Tell me about your early teenage years, your high school years. How was that for you?
Sure. Early teens. Do I still even remember? I'm old. Yo. Early teens.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think it was pretty much the same for me. But what became different was discovering certain things that you like and where you want to go in life. So I think that was where a lot changed.
Yeah.
So my early teens, that's when I discovered actually there's things called mentors in life, because I grew up in Katlowong. There isn't any mentor. The only guy we look up to is that one CA guy who sleeps with each and every other girl.
True.
Right? Growing up, I wanted to be a CA as well. And I was like, I want to be a doctor. Because you're good with maths, you're good with science, therefore you could be a doctor.
Yeah.
Right? So I did both accounting and maths. Okay, cool. And then you kill it, and then you go study elsewhere, right? But yeah, I think there isn't too much of a difference from my primary school to high school. It's just that self-discovery thing to say, you know what, I want to be different and I want to bring about change. And that kind of also transitioned how I thought and transitioned how I did things to a point where I was more of a loner again. So I just disappear on people.
Yeah.
Just close myself in my room and then just work. Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned that you wanted to become a CA or a doctor, right? When did this mentality of yours change?
So I still applied both VETs and UCT and outside SA for accounting science, actuarial science, and medicine, right? And then fortunately enough, I got into VETs and UCT. Obviously, VETs and UCT by default, UJ and others, right? To study actuarial science or accounting, and then I decided on UCT. I don't know why, but I just like, you know what, Cape Town sounds good on me. So I was like, boom, let's go. And then as I got to UCT first year, I was doing my accounting science. Yeah, I think first year we do almost pretty much the same thing, and then you start specializing in second year, where I specialize in statistics, economics, and finance, which is quantitative finance. That's what they call it. So that's when I started changing my mindset. Got to UCT, you don't really have money, so you need to learn how to hustle.
Exactly.
Right? And then through the hustling, I stumbled upon radio. And I started becoming a radio DJ while studying. Right? And then from radio...
Was this UCT radio?
Yeah, so I started at UCT radio, and then people listened to the radio, Liberty Radio Awards. I was nominated, my show was apparently fun, right? Played good music, so I was a specialist radio DJ, meaning you talk about anything you want.
Exactly.
You bring any music that you want, right? Even now I still DJ, play exclusive songs that people haven't heard before, right? So that, people loved it, people appreciated it. And funny enough, in Cape Town, I didn't really have a lot of viewers or listeners. I had listeners from Katleho, Veds and stuff. So my show actually picked up to be, I think, top 5 viewed or streamed radios and on campus. Yeah, so from there, that's when I was like, you know what, do I really want to be, am I passionate about being a doctor? Am I passionate about being a CA? Yeah, I am. I've got the brains, but also I think I want to live freely. Right?
True.
So I was like, you know what, let me just continue with this DJ thing, and then obviously kill it at school. I still killed it. I've got my honors degree, right? Busy with masters. I'm gonna do PhD soon, and then but then whatever I'm studying, I'm still practicing it, but I'm balancing 50-50. So being an employee and being an entrepreneur. So that's how it changed.
So I want us to tap into, you said you got the radio gig and the DJing gigs as a side hustle because you wanted to survive. When did you actually realize that you're passionate about what you were doing?
So music has always been a thing, right? I mean, we were singing together back in the days.
Yeah, true.
So it wasn't much of a realization, but it was having access to a certain platform that otherwise you wouldn't have, right? So they gave me a platform because at UCT, as much as I was doing the actual science stuff, I also joined the South African School of Music to go there, sing, play piano, conduct. And then as I was there, I was actually crazy. So people were like, you know what, you should have something like a YouTube channel. People would view it because you're just hilarious. I was like, yo, imagine this being on radio. And then my manager back then, who was managing my DJing thing, was like, no, I can hook you up with a gig at UCT radio, but you need to be committed. Not that I was scared of commitments, but I hate committing for too long because I get bored very easily. So I was like, okay, cool. Now let's try it. And then went UCT radio. I was there for 18 months. And I started doing other radio shows. I was on Good Hope FM. And then people in Joburg radio stations started interviewing me. And I started to love that, you know, exclusivity, where you don't have a certain radio show where you have to be each and every time, but just have those radio interviews that people get to know about you, and whenever people miss you, you can get like a short-term contract and go back there.
So talking about these short-term contracts, how many radio stations have you worked for?
Sure.
As a presenter and as a DJ?
2. So it's UCT and Good Hope.
You tapped into the fact that you opened a YouTube channel. I want us to get into that. I want us to thoroughly explain to my viewers, you know, what the YouTube channel was about and how has it been going. What is it that's done on the YouTube channel?
Okay, so my YouTube channel is more of a TV show, right? And it has 4 different shows on it. Which is pretty much the 4 things that I love to do. The first one is education. So I love education. I run my own educational management company, right?
Okay, before we move on, what does your educational company do?
We do a lot of things, or rather I do a lot of things. But the big one that I'm known for is motivational speaking, and also motivational speaking, teaching, and entrepreneurship game competition. So we run, like, I think we're one of the few companies in South Africa that actually teaches people about entrepreneurship, financial literacy and stuff.
So you're the founder of this business?
Yeah.
Okay. The second one?
And then the second one is all about music, discovering new artists, discovering new talent, you know. I bring people who do poetry, I do people who do certain different genres of music, right? There's certain people who actually sing like vocalists, but then they don't need a beat, they just do amazing work, right? So that's another like a season / show on its own. But all of these things are on one YouTube channel. So every year, 3 months we cut them and then we combine, right? And then the third one, it's me being a philanthropist and doing good for the community. So how we do it in a jokey way, where I go around asking people crazy things. Be like, hey, listen, I've got 1,000 rand worth voucher at ShopRite. I'm gonna ask you 10 questions, and if you get them right, you get the voucher. Just to get people excited. But at the end, whether they get the questions right or wrong, they get the voucher. Right? I think you said you saw one of the videos.
Exactly, I did.
Driving around and giving people that. And then the last one, that's where another thing that I'm passionate about, which is financial literacy, especially in the black communities, because people do not know how to handle money. I've seen a lot of my friends, whenever they graduate, the first thing they run into, it's cars, right? But then, hey, dude, do you know that buying a car, this and this and that, the paperwork behind it, the banks, what they do to you. I mean, Instate Finance, I know pretty much everything about banking, right? So that's where we actually educate, and I bring like industry specialists that bring people with 20, 30 years of experience, and then we just share that knowledge. So those are my 4.
Exactly. So you're a DJ, you're a radio presenter, and you're a YouTuber. Those are the 3 things that you hear about today. Tell me about, I want us now to tap into the challenges you've come across as a radio personality, as a DJ, as a YouTuber, with that being said, and in life in general, you know.
I think the biggest challenge I've faced is it's the devil inside me, right? I trust people a lot, and then people tend to prove you wrong, right? And I love a quote by DMX. He said, you know what, trust everyone, like believe everyone, like accept people for who they are, but also believe in the fact that you can see them well, which people don't really understand that, number one. And number 2, people don't actually see that, right? So for me, it's that thing out, I'm too trusting, I'm too friendly, so people tend to take you for a ride, right? I don't know, in my 10 years of DJing, I've changed managers so many times. Why? Because people are not committed, people, they just want access to things, right? Even now in my education company, I've got people working for me, and people, they just love the access that they have, right? It's a problem. To a point where I would say anyone who wants to start something, get professionals. I'm working with professionals now, to a point where I can actually focus on things that matter to me, which is running the business rather than being the business, because those are 2 different things, right? So that's the first challenge. The second challenge, it's me. I used to say yes to everything, and I used to be everywhere where people wanted me. But then as soon as I figured out, okay, who's right and who's wrong for my life, so my life is like this cup, right? And what you put in this cup, you're going to put into your body. And whatever you put in this cup and into your body has to be pure, has to be holy. So that's how I actually view things. As much as I still accept people into life, but then I keep a distance, to a point where, okay, cool, let's say, what are you going to bring into my life? As it positive, as it holy, as it something that I can actually see myself doing in the next 10 years? And then if the answer is no, then no, I don't waste my time, right? So that's how I kind of manage the difficulties, you say. Otherwise, certain difficulties, obviously, it's growing up in a place where you didn't have access to a lot. I mean, at my school, primary and high school, we didn't have resources. So you kind of had to scramble for yourself to actually make it. Fortunately enough, nature gave me the brains, but I've seen people struggle with education, which is why I actually started my own educational thing, so I can help those communities. Yeah.
So you spoke about the difference between being a business and running a business.
Yeah.
I want us to tap into that. Tell us what the difference is between the two.
Okay. Sure. Let's see. A simple definition is being a business means your business depends on you. That's how I view it. Your business depends on you.
Yeah.
And if you were to be sick for 2 weeks, that means your business won't do anything for 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks.
But running a business means if you were to be sick for 2 weeks, your company will still run efficiently. So that's the difference. And I choose to run a business. That's why I mentioned that you need to get professionals. People who can actually do the work. And it took me a long time to actually get professionals. Because I started my educational thing when I was in grade 9.
Yeah.
Right? So now it's about 10, 11 years old. And I only got professionals 3 years ago. And that's why now it's being recognized. That's why when sometimes you listen to radio or you do certain things, you actually hear about Ulwazi. Why? Because now it's been established and certain schools, they're actually afraid of it, right? To a point where another challenge that you face as an entrepreneur, people wanting to buy your company, and if you don't want to, they threaten your life, which is one thing that we face as black people or black communities. If you're not smart enough, you can end up selling your dream because someone just dangles a few millions in your eyes. Yeah.
So what you're saying, I don't know if I'm getting it correct, but what you're saying is that it's okay to start and stumble along the way, but as long as you're going to get the professionals that you need to run your business in the end, it's okay.
So yeah, I can say at the beginning, yeah, you can do almost everything by yourself. Like I used to do that. I used to manage myself as a DJ. I used to produce my own music. I used to actually run my entire show, like write the script, read it and practice and go do the show. But then as soon as you saw, or you know what, you can automate certain processes, automate those. As soon as you know that, you know what, I'm actually good at telling stories, I'm actually good at DJing. Therefore, I can get someone to run the admin, run the bookings, manage the fees and all that. I don't need to do that. My passion is in there. As much as I'm still the founder, I'm still the CEO / whoever, the visionary and stuff, but give people who are good at certain things to do it. And they should do it with a certain purpose. And if the purpose doesn't align to yours, therefore you're not going to go anywhere.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. So at the beginning, sure, start, do almost everything yourself, but then also understand why you're doing certain things.
Yeah.
For me, my biggest passion, like the one thing that if I were to die, I would say I'm proud of, is my educational management company. Why? Because it's adding so much value into people's life, and that's one thing that I care about. Because in my life, a lot of people actually added value. A lot of people contributed to
who you are today.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's now get into, I want you to, this is a question that gets my guests on the edge, but I want you to tell me how you define success.
Yeah, my definition of success is, okay, people define it differently.
Yes.
My definition of success is freedom. And how I define my freedom is I love traveling. 2 weeks ago I was in Namibia, and I just decided, you know what, let's drive to Namibia. That's success to me. Having access to things that otherwise you wouldn't have because of where you grew up.
Exactly.
That's why I would say if people were to get a chance, just travel outside your kasi or your neighborhood. Just travel, see different things.
See different places.
Right? And that's why I chose UCT than VETS. Not that UCT is better than VETS
Exactly.
now. I just chose to, you know what, let
you
me go
explore things.
Yes. Right? That's how I define success. I love traveling, so having the liberty to travel anytime. Obviously now because of COVID we can't. But yes, having to travel anywhere I want in the world. That it shows for you know what, you're successful. Number one. Number two, I'm a foodie. In Cape Town, there's certain restaurants that I couldn't eat. What's on? I remember reserving a table. They said, who are you? I said, Tiriso. They're like, nah, your people are not allowed here.
Your people,
yeah.
what does that mean? The people of your skin color?
Yes.
Okay.
So it was like predominantly white restaurant. And I called after 2 days. Actually used a different name and surname. And then they were shocked when I got there. Right? But then they can't kick you out now because you're here.
Exactly.
Right? But you can see this commotion all over. How did this one get in?
Yeah.
And then to a point where they'd be like, say, we actually cannot afford to be here.
Wow.
Okay, it's true. I couldn't afford back then. Why? Because number one, the minute you enter the door, they actually give you like a glass of water. Not a glass, like Mabotlola thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Number two, whenever they give you the menu, there's no prices. And then you eat, and then they bring you the bed. And then you see $3.99. You're like, you know what, I can afford, but it's $3.99. Right?
Yeah.
So now you have to multiply that by 14 or 15.
Exactly.
So that's what I mean, having that access to actually be in places where people say you don't belong.
Exactly.
Right? For me, that's success. And then the third one, it's being joyful. I've realized a lot of people will say, you know what, as long as I'm happy. But then you being happy depends on you being
joyful.
No, you being happy depends on you not being
joyful.
Sad or mad. Right? Therefore, by virtue of you not being mad or sad, you're happy. So that depends on something. But then being joyful is constant because you choose how to be joyful.
Exactly.
You choose, or you know what, there's certain things that I'm not going to allow to just bring down my spirit.
Yeah.
And that's how I live now. To a point, look, you call, you be like, dude, where are you? I'm like, I'm around. You're like, come. Drove 2 hours just to be here. Right? Tomorrow, flying back to Cape Town. For me, that's success.
Yeah.
Doing what you want, whenever you want.
Whenever you want.
And then people are running the business. That's it.
So your definition of success is freedom.
Yeah, for me it's freedom. Because how I grew up, I didn't have that freedom.
Yes.
Right? Katlo home, you can't wake up and be like, you know what, I want to go to London. You don't even know what London is.
Yeah.
You don't even know Horona le Tabo.
Exactly.
Because you are just confined to Katlo home. But then the minute you start traveling, you explore different things, you meet different people.
Yeah.
You get to have a mentor, you get to learn about finance, you get to learn about running a business, being a business and all that. That's when you start actually getting certain things in your brain start to happen.
Yeah.
And then as they happen, you actually say, alright, there's more to life than Katleo, there's more to life than Siboke.
True.
Right? And then also at the end of it, and excuse the pun, but don't be a dickhead at the end, right? There's people who actually become successful and then they look down on their people.
Exactly.
Me, I just still love being with my people.
Yeah,
I still joke with my people. Even in Katlehong, I still go there and be with my boys for the day, right? Which is one thing that brings me joy. And also when you're there, as much as we're speaking a different language, which is something we cannot avoid. The cities that I was and the cities that I am now, two different
people.
Right? So the language is different. Things that they focus on, like, you know, but then you don't judge them, right? If possible, educate them. Tell them, hey, gents, you know what? You can literally drive to Cape Town, it will take you 12 hours.
Yeah.
Right? And they'll be like, really? And then they start driving down to Cape Town. They'll be like, Chief, actually I want to do this more.
Yeah.
Can we organize another road trip? And then as they travel, it opens up their minds to say, you know what, we went to that province.
Exactly.
I saw the tech shop didn't have 1, 2, 3. How about now we start collaborating with the tech shop and build something for the community? Me, whenever each and every province I travel to, I actually think, where is the most vulnerable place where I can actually build an office, so I can educate the people there. Yeah.
So, in how many provinces or places would you say you've built an office for Ulwazi?
So, I wouldn't say an office per se, but
Yes.
where we have presence
Yes.
in 5 provinces now. It's KZN, Gauteng, Free State, Limpopo, and the Eastern Cape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. Now, before we close this interview, I'd like for you to give a young boy who's watching this episode, you know, give them advice. It can be on anything, with that being said.
I don't know how to give people advice, to be quite honest, because certain people say I'm harsh, Certain people say, I call myself a realist, so
Yeah.
I'm a realistic person. So it's hard for me to give you advice. But the one thing I would say is, number one, don't be too hard on yourself. Take it easy on yourself.
Exactly.
Enjoy life and make sure whoever says you can't do anything, prove them wrong. That's it. I said to my teachers in grade 11 I wanted to go to UCT or Oxford. They said, you can't do it. Who do you know from Katlehong who's been outside Gauteng to go study, or who's been outside South Africa for that matter? And then when I went to both universities, I actually took pictures way more than necessary, just so I can send them. Yeah. So just make sure you do that. Enjoy it, and if it's fun, take double pictures. That's it.
Don't be too hard on yourself.
Nah, don't. Because the minute you're too harsh on yourself, you'll focus on being too harsh, number one. You'll focus on actually pushing for success to a point where you actually miss the fun things on the road. You know when you're driving a car, when you just focus on getting into the destination, you won't even see the views, the beauty of nature while driving. Yeah, so don't be too harsh. Wherever you're going, make sure you know the destination. But the map, the road there, it can change a lot of times, right? And then if possible, get a notebook, have a vision board. That's one thing that drives me. I have a vision board, and each and every year, I write things on my vision board. I remember I used to write things like, I want to be a millionaire. But the minute you get there, you'll be like, okay, then what? And then I started refining it to things that really matter, because money doesn't really matter. The more you get money, the more you want more.
The more you want more.
Right? And then you start doing certain things that actually bring you down. So for me, my vision board, it's more realistic now. It's things like, okay, cool, maybe a family house, a holiday house, okay, finish all the countries in Africa, right, before age 30. That's on my vision board. And I'm doing a few countries, right? So being realistic and making sure everything of yours that's in purpose, well, that's in line with your purpose. People still trying to figure out what's their purpose. I think I found mine in education. So as long as I add value into the education space, I'm happy. That makes me happy. Therefore, I can travel. I can do anything else. So your vision board has to be in line with your purpose. If your purpose is money, then you're gonna fail. Because people who are chasing money most of the times, they don't really get to take care of themselves, their bodies, the information they get, right? The people they hang around with. They'll hang around with the wrong people for money. And then at the end of the road, you have money, you have problems. So you need to balance that.
True.
And how do you balance it? Prayer, purpose. That's it. Yeah, that's my advice.
Now, I want you to leave my viewers with your social media handles.
I don't have. No, I'm kidding. I think it's just simple. You just search NtateTS, and that's it. And that there's like Sesotho and NtateTS. And then that's it.
That's on
You'll find
Instagram.
me. Instagram, it's NtateTS_SA. Facebook, it's Liso NtateTS. Twitter, I am Josi.
Yeah.
That's it.
It was amazing having you here today.
Thank you for having me.
After a very long time. That was it from Tsidiso, Josi, NtateTS. I mean, it's been a beautiful interview with that being said. Thank you for watching Getting Real with Lesedi Precious. From me, the original Musadi in the making. This is me saying goodbye. God bless.